Are we live?
We're live. Welcome to the Business of Comedy. This is the country's hottest new podcast. With me,
Wow.
they don't check. You can just say that. With me today is our first, technically second guest. My first guest was me. I had a hide shut on myself.
Stop. Are you kidding?
It's not, we'll put the thing up.
No. All right. That's going to be it for me. Thanks. That's good night. I'm out.
We have our real live in the flesh guest, the one and only Tyler Fowler is here.
Wow. I don't know which camera to look at.
There's
this
three
is
cameras.
So professional.
I wanted Tyler to come on because Tyler and I started comedy pretty much at the same time, and
Which is so hard to believe because I'm so much better than you. Isn't that crazy?
See, I'm not used to other people being on the podcast, and I don't know how to. This is. I'm used to just
because
running the room.
I see the clip. I really enjoy the podcast. See all the clips. One thing you could be funny. That's one thing a lot of people are doing with podcasts.
I know, and a lot of
You're doing this business stuff.
I try to play to the room, and Tyler, the producer, doesn't laugh.
Because it's business of comedy. You putting them on like LinkedIn?
I'm huge on LinkedIn. Everyone knows that.
Are you actually?
Endorse the pod.
Put these on LinkedIn.
Generally, because I was in HR for so long, I had that like premium LinkedIn or the gold or whatever. Like
you hear that, ladies?
Yeah, exactly.
The networking event is wet right now.
And so I would just get every fucking person would be. My network is. I don't even know how many people.
My network is lit.
Not my net worth, to be clear. My net worth. But I wanted Tyler to come on because Tyler, we worked together very closely over a number of years on various different projects. But lately, the things that we've been doing, we've been producing a bunch, and I wanted to talk to you about. A lot of people tuning in are trying to like, how do I level up in comedy? If you're like new,
sure,
right? We started producing a ton of shit together, but how do you balance producing and normal stand up now? Because now you're headlining, so how do you do both?
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
because not enough people know.
I was going to say people. No, he's headlining.
You have to tell people you're headlining. Are you headlining? I think the best advice.
Now he can headline.
Let's not say can. He is. It's not that he can. The best advice for someone who's like just trying to level up in comedy is don't. I mean, think about quitting. Honestly, you're at a pivotal point in your comedy career where you could get out still.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
Seriously, think about it. And if you decide to stay in it, then maybe start producing something. But when we started, you started producing stuff because no one would book you, which is just like you're so new and you want to get up and you're not good enough to get booked. So you're like, well, I'm just going to create the opportunity for myself. You know,
that is a good point because it's also like in any other job you can't just do that. You can't be like, well, I'm going to start.
Yes. Yeah, right.
I'm going to do that.
I really want to be a CPA, so I'm going to just start doing people's taxes.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, in comedy, you're like, I got 8 people who will come see me at the worst bar you've ever been to in your life.
Andy,
you're like, you're a comedian now.
When you have the most demand early on is when you're the worst.
It's so funny.
It's now, like remember when we first started, we all like our first couple shows we produced 50, 60, 80, 100 people we brought out to the show.
Second show was 250 people.
We brought out to the show. Yeah. If I could move 250 tickets today, I wouldn't be on this fucking podcast. I would be in this seat. Y'all would never hear from me if I could move 250 tickets.
Yeah, that is it's sad because I'm like, no, but you should come back. I'm good now.
Yeah, right.
But those
are funny. Every once in a while, I'll run into someone who hasn't seen me since then, and their heads are exploding. They're like, you're so good. I go, yeah, I've been doing it every night for 9 years since you last saw me.
This is it, bro.
It'd be crazy if I was the same.
I was trying to do a bit about that where I'm like you were saying, like you can still quit, you can still get out.
Yeah.
We're like 10 years in now, and I'm like, yeah, I'm at the point now where I can no longer explain the gap in my resume.
It's not even that we're 10 years in. It's 5 years without a job.
Without a job, yeah.
And I always thought when I left my job, I'm like, I could always go back. Work's always going to be there. And now I'm like, I don't know if I could.
You see it on LinkedIn. You're talking about LinkedIn. They're like, from this to present, it's like old now. It's all the way down.
You gotta start lying.
I gotta start being like, nah, man, I did a little comedy here and there.
I remember we were at a point in comedy where you're like, I can't wait till we can quit our jobs. Now I feel like we're at a point in comedy where I'm looking at jobs the same way. I'm going, oh, that's a good bit. There's a marketing manager position, and
I'll intern. I'll start from the bottom. I'll work my way up. It's scary now because post-pandemic, like, we were both like, oh, maybe we'll go to New York. Maybe we'll go. Sure. Like, right as the pandemic hit, I was thinking about moving to New York, and then everyone was like, don't fucking, you can just do whatever.
Yes, I was thinking about moving right the month the pandemic happened. I was thinking about moving to Wuhan, China. Did you know that? Business.
But it's like, it's also funny because then everyone else who was in LA and New York was leaving. All the headliners were like, well, we're going to go live in fucking Arizona. We're going to go live in Austin. What are these like places with land?
There's the big exodus.
And now I'm like, well, now what's our trajectory? Where do we go from here? And that's kind of the confusing part now because now I'm like, well, I don't want to go anywhere else people are leaving those cities.
Yeah, and some of that is good. Is that it feels like now you don't need to be anywhere.
Yeah.
The big thing is like grow an audience, be near an airport. That's it. Like,
yeah. I mean, business comedy is at 155 followers or so. We can.
You
we'll
definitely
edit that
can't
out.
move now.
Yeah,
because the thing about now, if you were to move to LA or New York, where would you find a backdrop like that? This is the iconic white corner that everyone knows.
Well,
to recreate this.
One thing. So when we started to, Tyler and I would wear like the shtick was because we were doing shows in office buildings, we'd wear suits, and because of that, we had like a John Mulaney effect where people were like, "You're clean comedians." They think
that's funny because and I was pretty clean. You were filthy.
I was
always, and people are going like, "Wow,
crazy.
he's this clean cut comic." I'm like, you're up there literally grinding on men at the show.
We'll slice in the bit.
Yeah.
Classic Vic bit.
The classic Vic bit.
Couldn't get away with that today. Today, if I did that, like he just heard a they them. Like I don't know what he would have. But I mean, that was what was very funny. It's like the perception early on, and it's kind of stuck because your first like year of comedy in a new scene or in a scene you started in, people are like, that's who you are. I feel like it's so critical. That first year.
And the other thing that I've found recently that haunts you is an old headshot.
Oh yeah.
Never be careful.
Yeah.
They're saving them. They're keeping them. Like I just did that gig up in Wisconsin. We were talking about the Egg Harbor gig, and I've done it for the last couple of years, and they have a headshot.
They're pulling that from your MySpace.
They have a headshot that I must have sent them the very first time I did it, and even then it was a year or two old. Oh. Now I don't look like that at all. I'm like, who is that 12-year-old lesbian girl?
Yeah, if you're ugly, I mean,
but that's
use
comedy
a filter.
advice. If you were sending out a headshot, just be prepared for that to be
come back
forever
in perpetuity.
Forever, someone will find that.
My favorite though is when the people who who are headlining and they clearly have another headshot, but they're like, let him like what is this?
One, yes.
What is this vanity?
Yes.
Like you're not 40, you're 80.
This is like it's in black and white. What are you talking about? Headshot from the silent era. What are we talking about here?
Well, on that kind of note, you're talking about clean and dirty. So yeah, I was definitely, because I didn't know, like I didn't even make a choice to go dirty. I think I just was talking. I was just saying wild shit because like
you weren't really making a choice to be funny.
I was going to say not a lot of choices.
Wild stuff,
saying crazy shit.
And it worked for you. I mean, to your credit, got you all the way to this podcast.
I know, but you went the other way, and I feel like it was a little. It felt intentional. Was that?
Yeah, for sure.
And did you ever like have a bit early on that was dirty that you're like, I can't say that?
What I remember it being was like there was a business choice of like I felt like I could work more, and when we both first started working Zanies early on, their big thing, especially at the time, is they worked you a lot if you were clean.
Yeah,
and
you had to audition clean.
If you had to audition clean, and then if you could work clean. Like they had the club in St. Charles, they wouldn't even work people who weren't clean there. So
I never did that.
That was
ironically.
Exactly. So I worked at that, and they didn't have people who were clean and had a car. I worked at that club all the time, and just the amount of work that we were getting between their three clubs just off of being clean, I probably would have quit if I wasn't getting that much work. Or I wouldn't have escalated as quickly as I did.
Well, we also both had. We were like at the time, Zanies was like the house MC role.
Yeah.
They don't have that anymore, but it was a month of shows.
Crazy.
You don't need to book yourself. And it's like, it was us two, and then everyone else was like 20-year comedian.
Yeah, right.
So it was like, we got
really was
chosen. I think the suits helped, and I think they thought we were
and
that was clean.
That was the thing I did with, I remember first auditioning at Zanies and being like, everyone wanted to work there. Yeah. It was all, I wasn't very good. I knew I wasn't very good. But I was like, anything I can do to stand out.
Yeah,
and it was, if I put on a suit and tie, I know that Bert liked that. And that's one thing I could control in the immediate, as opposed to just getting good.
Spending
4 years getting. I can't. I don't have 4 years to get good.
But I can wear this suit.
And I know for a fact. He started at House MC me just because of that.
100%.
Because I like. He literally said this to me early on before he even first House MC me. He would say, "People will beg me for years to work here and show up in a hoodie." And he goes, everybody used to dress like that, and it's like very old timey style. But I played right into it. And here we are.
I love that. I mean, he said to me, he's like, normally the races should be separate, but he's like, I'll let you in. Yeah, I'll let you in. But I kind of respect it because like people were like, he's an asshole, but I'm like, he also was. It's extremely clear about what the path was. Yeah. If you just adhered, and then you can do whatever you want when you start featuring and headlining. But like hosting, like. You're the host anyway. It's not.
But dude, now I was looking back, I cringe now. Like, I would House MC, I would wear a suit. But again, when he booked me for the month, that was my differentiating factor, and I was always walking on eggshells all the time. So I was like, I don't want to have him book me, and then I start slacking, and I'm not. Then I take the tie off, and then he's like, well, what? I was so strict about it, but I'm opening for all these like big headlines. I remember opening for Chris D, wearing a suit. Looking back on it now, I know. I'm like, he's a headliner traveling. He just put out a Comedy Central special, traveling, going to a different city every night, and going. The local is a kid who just started, and he's wearing a suit and tie. No. I literally remember him coming off stage and looking for me to come back up and like take the mic from him, and he's like, "Where's that kid with the suit?" I made a choice.
Same thing. Dan Soder, I remember hosting for him, and I started. It was at least at the point where I was trying to deviate. I was doing the shirt and tie still, but I'm like, let me go a leather jacket. So now I just look, it's almost worse. Yeah. And then Dan Soder goes, where's that parole officer?
That's funny.
He goes, there's that substitute teacher. He just had every night new riff. And I was like, yeah, this is not. Yeah, I get it. I understand. Yeah. But yeah.
But yeah, so it's like working clean because you could get more work. I also early on decided like I didn't want, if I was going to bombing, saying something crazy, it would make me feel worse for some reason. Like being dirty or being gross.
That makes sense.
It just felt bad.
I had the same. I just did a show in the building I live in, and the feeling of nervousness is different there because you're like, it's my home.
Yeah.
So I had the same thing. I was about to do a dirty joke, and I'm like, if this doesn't work, I feel weird. I had that sense
I'm gonna
of
see
like,
these people in the elevator.
Yeah, it just was like I almost went clean just on instinct.
Yes.
You know.
But it's like that type of thing where I was like, if I just write clean in general, I never have to make that pivot.
Yeah. And then it's only I would say up until maybe the last year and a half that you've kind of
now I'm dying for a clean bit.
You're saying
dude, it's I'll sit down to write everything you write. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna write my next big clean bit, and everything I write is filthy.
Yeah.
But it's like I was having this conversation with a comic this weekend where it's like compared to me 5 years ago, it's disgusting. But compared to the average comedian,
you're so clean.
Motherfucking Teresa. Yeah. I mean, it is like nothing. It's like clean by comparison. And I'm not graphic. I've yet to hump the stool.
I was gonna say never hump
only
the
in
stool.
the privacy of my own home. I'm humping the stool. But it's not talking about jizzing or humping the stool. Nothing graphic. But
don't do like, Claire Sunby's set.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
It's already been done. People are doing that already. But it is like I'm alluding to the fact of like, I'm talking about sex. I'm talking about
It also though I feel like we're in our 30s now. We can talk about adult shit. I feel like when we started, I was like
100%.
In mid-20s, I was an idiot. I was like, what am I talking about?
But there is somebody like you've earned the right to like talk like an adult because you are. You know.
And I think it is like. With the other bits we're doing, I think when you do get to the dirtier thing, they're like, well, you made it. We trust you enough now.
Yeah.
The faster you get, so much faster at turning material that it is almost who you are 1-to-1, as opposed to when you start, you're like, for 2 years, you're like, I'm in a relationship now. I'm doing single jokes.
Yes.
I was like,
dude, I remember being in like a relationship for like 6 months or a year and being like, that's great. I can't get rid of this 20 minutes about being single. It's all I have. It's all I have. And then be like, if we stick together, maybe 2 years from now, I'll have some material about not being.
Yeah, exactly. It's never going to match up.
It's never the same. And that used to really be how my writing felt. Like something would happen in my life, and 6 months to a year later, it would finally show up in my act.
I know.
And now it feels that window's closing.
That's the best feeling too. Is like you can take something that literally happened and be like, oh, I can actually do this on stage, and not just like do the idea. You like this can build out. In a way that's actually, then you feel like, I'm saying, then it feels more therapeutic, because otherwise you're just kind of like, I'm just saying what I think is funny.
But isn't it funny, after doing stand-up for like 10 years, you're like, man, it's nice to do it and be good. Like for the longest time, we were like white-knuckling it.
That's my whole career is fake it till you make. I mean, I would show up in this, someone told me this the other day, like a person who's known us for a while was like, when you started, she was talking about me, and like, she's like, you were so confident, but you just weren't like your bits weren't as good, but you didn't waver on the like you would just barrel through.
Which where the hell will that come from? Confidence.
I have no. I mean, that's brown privilege.
Dude, I remember you had that. Psychotic confidence. Two points of the confidence is one. You finish stand-up class at Second City, immediately you start a like page on Facebook.
Oh, dude.
A fan page. Facebook fan page.
I went back on that page, and it was the first post was hitting 3 mics tonight.
It was. Dude, I remember we would posting your like dates or whatever, and you would include an open mic, and people call you out in the comments. Oh, we posting mics now?
Oh, dude, because they're like, you want every day to be filled? Because I wanted every day to be filled.
Starting a fan page. Yeah. Immediately, it was hilarious.
You got to know to be great.
I remember you had a lisp when I
had
met
a
you.
lisp. I had earrings, dude. It's
running with your little web shoes.
The fact that none of you bullied me That's how pussy everyone is in this scene. That no one,
because you had the confidence.
it's confidence can.
'Cause literally, Vic would wear those webbed running shoes with the like fucking. How do you even describe
Vibrams.
them? Oh, thank you.
That's the
Is
technical
that
term.
one of the gods with the 6 arms, or what is that? But they were like shoes where you could see your toes in a weird way, whatever. And we would make fun of you for it, and you'd be like, "Yeah, man, that's just what it is."
Yeah.
Like you can't make fun of someone with that much confidence because
exactly.
anything you say, you'd be like,
I mean-
"You're a loser." You'd be like, "Hey, man, y'all don't
Yeah.
even know." You know?
I'm
keep
like,
up.
Yeah, keep up. Yeah, try it.
Yeah.
I think
Running barefoot on the treadmill.
the thing that encapsulates the most is I threw my own roast. Remember
Yes.
that?
Oh my god, that was fun.
That was actually incredible. I mean, that was
but
at the height
we-
of our show production.
But we were so new. It's like you've been doing stand up 2 years maybe, and you were like roast of me,
yeah, roast me, bro.
roast of me.
Like that was such a fun random night.
So fun.
But now it's like very much. I'm at
Now
the
it's not fun at all. I mean, we're having no fun.
Now we're having
working,
no fun.
We're
We're
slugging
working.
it out trying to make money. I mean, if we had.
So
that
that's-
is the thing. When you're not good, you have all the fun.
So much
then you
fun.
get decent. You get to work, and it sucks.
Well, because when you're not good too, your one show is once a month. It was a show that usually we were producing. All of our friends would come.
all your
It
shows
was
and all your comedian friends, you're all on the same level, so you're on the same shows.
You think you're crushing all your friends like that person, and then you go out after. It's an event. It's not even a show. It's an event, and then you're like, all right, cool. I guess I'll just do this again in a month. There's like no pressure. It's like a fun. Now it's like shows every day. You're like, this is now a job. It feels like a job.